Americans understand they have a responsibility, obviously, to pay obligations, to do so promptly when required to do so. They also believe they have rights that ought to be protected as well. And when credit card companies engage in deceptive and practices that are designed specifically to sort of trip up the consumer, as they appear to be to many of us here, then they feel they've been deceived and want change, and that's what we're attempting to do here. I think it's important to state at this juncture that this, with all due respect to the President or even as an author of the bill or a colleague here, this is not about what the President wants or what we'd like. It's what the American people deserve and need. At a time of the worst economic crisis in the lives of the overwhelming majority of Americans, having deceptive and fraudulent practices being used in the conduct of credit cards is hurting individuals. It's making it difficult for them to meet their obligations. It's putting them further and further behind in their ability to deal with the issues every single day, and it's harmful to our economy as a whole. The companies must give 45 days of notice before increasing rates, and for the first time they can no longer raise rates arbitrarily on existing balances, which is tremendously important. We've got to bring rates back down. If in fact the behavior of a consumer warrants it, then the companies need to review those matters and allow for rates to be reduced. Fees must be proportional to the violation, and we must allow consumers to pay by phone and email, electronically, as well as just by the mail, and not be penalized for doing so. Issuers who are delayed in crediting a customer's account cannot then charge the customer for those delays, as they have in too many cases in the past. Just making these instructions and contracts more readable and understandable by consumers is critically important as well. It's been a long time in coming, but I believe we have a unique opportunity this week to accomplish something that we've talked about for years, but are on the brink of achieving, and that is to provide some real relief to consumers. Story after story that goes on, millions of them every day, of people being abused by these practices. This week we're going to change that, and the country, I think, will be better off for it.
I want to start off by acknowledging Senator Dodd's incredible leadership in this regard. He had this vision a long time ago. It's one of the things that I followed in the House of Representatives before I came to the Senate. One of the first bills I filed in the Senate was on credit card reform. But Chris Dodd has been on this, as he said, for 2 decades, and he finally has the opportunity, because of the composition of both the committee and the Congress now, to actually pass it. And it's his perseverance and dogged determination that are going to give consumers in this country an enormous break. So, Mr. Chairman, we salute you as this bill, I believe, moves to not only to the floor, but to passage and to the signage by the President.
There is not a day that goes by that we do not hear a nightmare story or 2 or 3 or 4 from our members. And these stories and the amount of panic that we're hearing in the voice of our members are increasing. I can't think of a more important piece of legislation to be passed than this piece of legislation at this time. With the economic situation deteriorating, what we're finding is that more and more of our member families and people throughout the state of Connecticut are having to put their health care costs, their mortgages, their car payments, their children's tuition bills on their credit cards. And the next month they will open up the bill and the rules have changed and they don't know what they did wrong. The timing of this legislation is very important. Senator Dodd, I want to thank you for your tenacity on this, your willingness to lead, and ability to build a very impressive bipartisan coalition.